Liam Parker had always thought his job on the lunar mining station would be dull and predictable. He was a skilled engineer, spending his days maintaining mining equipment and fixing stubborn machinery. The dark, gray surface of the moon stretched endlessly around the station, with only the distant shimmer of Earth to break the monotony. It was a quiet life, safe, if not particularly exciting. But everything changed during a routine maintenance check on the station's perimeter. Liam was navigating his rover over the rocky terrain when his scanner beeped with an unusual signal. It showed a heat signature where there shouldn't have been one, far from any supply drop zones or equipment. His curiosity piqued. He steered the rover toward the source. As he approached, he saw it. A sleek, metallic pod half buried in moon dust, its surface scorched and covered in strange, intricate symbols. His heart pounded as he climbed out of the rover, his boots crunching on the lunar surface. Cautiously, Liam approached the pod. The hatch was slightly ajar, wisps of steam hissing from its seams. With a gentle pull, the door opened wider, revealing a small interior bathed in a soft, bluish light. And there, curled up and unconscious, lay a figure unlike any Liam had ever seen. She had smooth, pale skin with a soft luminescence, as if she were glowing from within. Her long, silver hair fanned around her, and her closed eyelids revealed dark lashes against her skin. Even in such an unexpected situation, Liam couldn't help but notice how ethereal she looked, almost otherworldly. His mind raced with questions. Was she human? Was this some kind of advanced technology or a secret experiment? As he reached out, her eyes fluttered open, revealing deep violet irises that seemed to shimmer with light. She gasped, instinctively drawing back, and Liam quickly raised his hands to show he meant no harm. "Hey, it's okay. You're safe," he said through the comms of his spacesuit, though he doubted she understood him. To his surprise, her expression softened. She sat up slowly, wincing as if in pain. Her lips moved, and though no sound reached him through the vacuum of space, he felt an odd sensation in his mind, a soft, melodic voice whispering directly into his thoughts. "Where am I?" Liam stumbled backward, his mind reeling. Telepathy. She wasn't just human. She was something else entirely. He managed to steady himself, nodding as he responded aloud. "You're on a lunar mining station. My name's Liam. Can you walk?" She hesitated, then nodded. As she moved, Liam saw the remnants of a harness and control panels inside the pod. This wasn't a simple escape pod. This was advanced alien technology. He realized they needed to get back to the station before anyone else noticed. If the station's security caught wind of this, there would be no end to the trouble. For both of them. Helping her to her feet, Liam led her to the rover. She moved with a grace that seemed almost unreal, and as he helped her into the cramped passenger seat, he felt a strange connection, as if he were meant to find her. As they sped back to the mining station, questions filled his mind. Who was she? Why was she here? And what kind of danger had she brought with her? But beneath the uncertainty, Liam felt a spark of something he hadn't felt in a long time. Adventure. Whatever this was, it was the start of something big, and he couldn't turn back now. Back at the lunar mining station, Liam Parker knew he had to act fast. Sneaking an alien princess into a highly monitored facility wasn't exactly part of his job description. He guided Elira through the dimly lit maintenance tunnels, keeping to the shadows. Her silver hair was hidden under a spare worker's jacket, but her glowing skin was still a problem. She pulled the hood tight, her violet eyes wide and alert, and Liam couldn't help but worry about what would happen if they were caught. He led her to his cramped quarters, a small metal room filled with tools, half-built gadgets, and a worn-out bed. It wasn't much, but it was safe. Elira sat on the edge of the bed, her posture elegant despite the surroundings. She looked around, touching the rough fabric of the blanket as if everything was foreign to her. Liam grabbed a flask of water and handed it to her. "You must be thirsty." She took it, examining the container with a curious tilt of her head before drinking. Her every move was delicate, as if she were handling something fragile. Liam sat on a metal crate across from her, his mind buzzing with questions. Who are you, really? And why were you out there alone? Elira took a breath, her eyes reflecting the soft light of the room. I am Elira, princess of the Seraphian Empire, she said, her voice echoing in his mind through her telepathic gift. I was fleeing an arranged marriage. My people, they wanted me to bond with a warlord to secure an alliance, but I couldn't go through with it. Liam's eyebrows shot up. An alien princess on the run from a forced marriage. This was way bigger than he'd imagined. Why here? Why our station? My pod malfunctioned. It was supposed to take me to a safe haven on the edge of my empire, but... She looked down, her glow dimming with her sadness. I ended up here, and now my people will come for me. Liam's stomach tightened. Your people, will they hurt us? They will do whatever it takes to retrieve me, Elira warned. Commander Thaddeon leads them. He is relentless and will not show mercy to anyone who stands in his way. Liam ran a hand through his dark hair, trying to think. The mining station was isolated, but it wasn't invisible. If Elira's people came, they'd find her. And if they found her here, everyone on the station would be in danger. We need to keep you hidden, he decided. At least until I figure out how to get you somewhere safe. Elira's expression softened, and she reached out, her cool fingers brushing his hand. Thank you, Liam. I did not expect kindness here. Her touch sent a shiver up his arm, and he forced himself to focus. It's nothing. We just need to be smart. Over the next few days, Liam managed to smuggle food and supplies to his quarters without raising suspicion. He even rigged a small heater to keep Elira warm since her physiology seemed more suited to higher temperatures. They spoke in whispers, and she shared stories of her home world, of floating cities, bioluminescent forests, and the deep, starry oceans of Seraphia. But the peaceful days couldn't last. Rumors began to spread among the workers. Strange flickers of light in the maintenance corridors, shadows moving where no one should be. And then, the Seraphian bounty hunters arrived. Their sleek silver ship docked at the mining station, and armored soldiers began questioning the crew. Their leader, Commander Thaddeon, a tall figure with piercing eyes and a voice like ice, made it clear he was searching for someone. Liam felt the walls closing in. They were running out of time. He looked at Elira, who stood by the small window, watching the soldiers below. Her glow had dimmed, but there was still a fire in her eyes. We need a plan, he said, his voice low. And we need it fast. Liam Parker's mind raced as he watched Commander Thaddeon and his Seraphian soldiers march through the mining station. Their silver armor glinted under the harsh lights, and their visors hid any hint of emotion. They moved with military precision, questioning workers and scanning every corner with their advanced technology. The station's usual hum of machinery now felt like a ticking clock, each second bringing them closer to discovering Elira. Back in his quarters, Elira sat on the floor with her knees drawn up, her violet eyes wide and unblinking. The soft glow of her skin had faded, making her appear almost ghostly in the dim light. Liam knelt beside her, his voice a hurried whisper. They're here. Thaddeon's with them. Her breath hitched, and she gripped his arm. If they find me, they'll force me back. My freedom, it'll be over. Liam nodded, his own fear mixing with a fierce need to protect her. He had only known Elira for a short time, but there was something about her, her strength, her vulnerability, that made him willing to risk everything. We won't let that happen. We just need to stay hidden until they leave. A sudden clang echoed through the corridor, making them both jump. Heavy footsteps approached, accompanied by the sharp hiss of scanning devices. Liam's mind raced. His room wouldn't hold up to a search. They needed to move. Now. He helped Elira to her feet, and they slipped out through the maintenance hatch in the back of his quarters. The narrow tunnel led into the bowels of the station, where only repair crews ventured. Pipes crisscrossed above them, and the air was warm and metallic. Liam led the way, his flashlight casting long shadows as they moved deeper into the labyrinth of ducts and passageways. Elira stumbled, her body weak from days of hiding. Liam caught her, his arm strong and steady around her shoulders. "Just a little farther," he whispered. "I know a place where they won't look." They reached an old storage bay, long abandoned and filled with forgotten equipment. Liam had discovered it months ago while fixing a coolant leak. The space was cramped, but it offered enough cover to hide them for now. He helped Elira settle against a stack of metal crates, then crouched by the door, listening. The sounds of boots and muffled voices drifted through the walls. Too close for comfort. Liam's pulse thudded in his ears. Elira's voice slipped into his mind, her telepathic connection a soft thread between them. "You should leave me. If they find you with me, they'll hurt you." He shook his head, his jaw set. "Not a chance. We're in this together." Her expression softened, and for a moment, even in the darkness, she seemed to glow. "Thank you, Liam. You are braver than many warriors of my world." Footsteps grew louder, and the metal door handle rattled. Liam tensed, his mind scrambling for an escape route. But before he could act, the door creaked open. A light flooded the room, and 2 armored soldiers stepped inside, their scanners humming. Liam pressed back against the wall, his hand gripping a rusted metal rod he had grabbed earlier. Elira held her breath, her violet eyes fixed on the intruders. The soldiers moved methodically, their scanners sweeping over every surface. When the beam of light neared their hiding spot, Liam's muscles coiled, ready to fight. But just as the soldier took a step closer, a crackling voice came through their earpieces. "Commander Phelan wants all units in Sector C, move out." The soldiers hesitated, then turned and left, the door hissing shut behind them. Liam exhaled a shaky breath, his hand trembling as he lowered the metal rod. Elira reached out, her fingers brushing his. "We can't keep running. We need a real plan." Liam nodded, the weight of their situation pressing down on him. "You're right. We need to get off this station, and fast." With danger closing in and time running out, they had only one option: to steal a ship and escape. But with Commander Phelan's forces on high alert, pulling off such a plan would take more than luck. It would take courage, cunning, and a willingness to risk everything. Liam's mind raced as he and Elira sat in the cramped storage bay, the shadows wrapping around them like a shroud. The Seraphian soldiers were still searching the mining station, their heavy boots echoing through the metal corridors. Time was slipping away, and they needed a plan. Elira's violet eyes glowed softly in the dim light, her expression a mix of fear and determination. "We can't hide forever. They'll find us sooner or later." Liam nodded, his jaw tight. "We need to get off this station. There's a supply ship that docks tomorrow. If we can reach it, we might have a chance." Elira's fingers tightened around a piece of metal piping she had picked up earlier, her knuckles pale against her golden skin. "How do we get past the guards?" Liam pulled out a small datapad, its cracked screen flickering. "The cargo bay has a maintenance hatch that leads to the docking area. If we can avoid the patrols, we might slip through." Elira closed her eyes for a moment, her breathing slow and steady. Liam had seen her do this before, reaching out with her mind, sensing the presence of others. "There are 4 guards between us and the cargo bay. Their thoughts are focused, disciplined, but there's a gap in their patrol pattern." Liam couldn't help but be amazed by her abilities. "Tell me when." Minutes stretched into an eternity as they waited. Finally, Elira opened her eyes. "Now." They moved quickly and quietly, slipping through the winding passages of the station. The air was thick and warm, filled with the hum of machinery. At every corner, Liam's heart pounded, expecting to see the silver armor of Phelan's soldiers. When they reached the cargo bay, Liam keyed in an old access code. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing stacks of metal crates and automated loading bots worrying about their tasks. "Stay low," Liam whispered, guiding Elira between the crates. The sound of machinery masked their footsteps, but they couldn't afford a single mistake. Alyra paused, her eyes narrowing. Someone's coming. They ducked behind a large container just as two soldiers entered the bay. The men spoke in low voices, their visors scanning the room. Liam pressed his back against the cold metal, his breath shallow. The soldiers moved on, their boots clanging against the floor. Liam exhaled slowly, signaling Alyra to follow. They'd reached the maintenance hatch, a small metal door bolted to the floor. Liam pried it open, revealing a narrow shaft leading down into the bowels of the station. One by one, they slipped inside. The shaft was dark and cramped, forcing them to crawl through layers of cables and pipes. The metal scraped against their clothes, and the smell of oil and rust filled the air. Finally, they emerged into a dimly lit corridor. The sound of ships docking and departing rumbled through the walls. They were close. Liam checked the datapad. The supply ship is in Hangar 12. It's automated. No crew. We just need to get aboard. Alyra nodded, her expression fierce. Then let's go. They moved swiftly, passing through the shadows. The docking area was filled with ships of all sizes, but Hangar 12 stood at the far end, its doors partially open. Liam could see the small cargo vessel, its engines humming as it prepped for departure. But as they approached, a figure stepped into their path. Commander Thalen. His silver armor gleamed under the harsh lights, and his eyes, visible through the visor, were cold and sharp. Going somewhere? Thalen's voice cut through the air like a blade. Liam's mind spun, searching for an escape. But Alyra stepped forward, her chin high. Let us go, Thalen. I won't return to a life of chains. Thalen smirked. You were born to lead, princess, not to hide with a human rat. Liam's fists clenched, but Alyra's hand on his arm held him back. Her voice remained calm. If you want me, you'll have to take me by force. The tension hung thick in the air, and Liam knew they were on the edge of a fight, or worse. But he also knew that with Alyra's powers and his resolve, they had a chance. The only question was whether they could survive what came next. Liam's heart pounded as he stood face to face with Commander Thalen. The Seraphian warrior blocked the only path to the ship, his silver armor gleaming under the hangar's harsh lights. The distant hum of engines filled the air, but all Liam could focus on was Thalen's piercing gaze and the deadly energy blade at his side. Alyra stood beside Liam, her violet eyes locked onto Thalen. There was no fear in her expression, only defiance. You won't take me back, she said, her voice steady. Thalen smirked. You were born to rule, princess, and yet you throw everything away for a human. You disappoint me. Liam clenched his fists, his body tense. She chooses her own path. You don't own her. Thalen's smirk faded, replaced by cold determination. He unsheathed his energy blade, its blue light casting sharp shadows across the floor. Enough talk. In an instant, he lunged. Liam barely dodged in time, feeling the heat of the blade as it slashed past him. Alyra raised her hands, her golden skin glowing as she summoned her power. A wave of energy pulsed outward, sending Thalen skidding back, but he recovered quickly, his movements fluid and precise. You've grown stronger, Thalen admitted, but not strong enough. Alyra didn't answer. She moved fast, raising her hand again, sending a blast of energy toward him. Thalen countered, deflecting it with his blade. The air crackled with power as they clashed. Alyra's energy against Thalen's ruthless precision. Liam knew he couldn't just stand there. He grabbed a metal rod from a nearby crate and swung at Thalen's side. The Seraphian twisted at the last second, dodging the blow with ease. Then, with one swift movement, he struck Liam hard across the chest, sending him crashing to the ground. Pain shot through Liam's ribs, but he forced himself up. He couldn't let Thalen win. Alyra's attacks grew fiercer, her energy blasts shaking the hangar. Sparks flew as she aimed another strike at Thalen, forcing him back. But Thelon was fast, too fast. He closed the distance, his blade aimed straight for her heart. "No," Liam roared. Without thinking, he lunged forward, knocking Thelon off balance. The commander stumbled, and Elira seized the moment. She focused all her strength into one final attack. A surge of energy so bright it lit up the entire hangar. The force sent Thelon flying backward, slamming him into the wall. His armor cracked, and for the first time, Liam saw uncertainty in his eyes. Elira grabbed Liam's hand. Now, they sprinted toward the ship. Alarms blared as more Seraphian soldiers rushed into the hangar, their weapons drawn. Liam's heart raced as they reached the ramp of the supply ship. He smashed the control panel, forcing the doors to close just as the first shots fired. The engines roared to life. The ship trembled as it lifted off the ground, escaping into the vastness of space. Liam collapsed into the co-pilot's seat, his breathing heavy. Elira sat beside him, her hands trembling from exhaustion. "We did it," she whispered. Liam looked at her, his chest still aching from the fight. "Yeah, but Thelon isn't done with us yet." Elira nodded, her expression serious. "No, he'll chase us. But now, we have a chance." The stars stretched out before them, endless and unknown. They had escaped, but the real battle was just beginning. The stolen Seraphian ship sped through the vast emptiness of space, its engines humming with a steady rhythm. Liam sat in the co-pilot's chair, his hands gripping the armrests as he stared at the endless stars outside. Elira sat beside him, her violet eyes scanning the navigation screen. They had escaped for now, but Liam knew it wouldn't last. Commander Thelon was relentless. He would come for them. Elira's fingers danced over the controls. "We need to find a safe place to hide," she said, her voice calm but urgent. Liam exhaled. "Do you know anywhere?" She hesitated, then nodded. "There's a system on the edge of Seraphian space, a place my people rarely go. We can refuel and make repairs." Liam nodded. "Then let's get there before Thelon finds us." But before he could finish his sentence, the ship's alarm blared. A red warning flashed across the screen. "Tracking signal detected." Liam's stomach dropped. "No, no, no, no." He turned to Elira. "They planted a tracker on the ship." Elira's eyes widened. "That means—" Before she could finish, the ship lurched violently. The radar flashed red as a massive warship emerged from hyperspace, its sleek black hull glowing with Seraphian energy signatures. "They found us." Elira's hands flew over the controls. "We need to outrun them." The stolen ship surged forward, engines burning at full power. Liam watched as the warship behind them released smaller, faster hunter ships, sleek Seraphian fighters designed to chase down fleeing targets. They closed in quickly. Liam gritted his teeth. "Can we fight them off?" Elira shook her head. "This isn't a combat ship. If we take too many hits, we're done." Liam's mind raced. "Then we need to lose them." Elira's eyes flickered with an idea. "There's an asteroid field ahead. It's dangerous, but it's our only chance." Liam glanced at the screen. The asteroid field was massive, a chaotic swirl of rock and debris spinning through space. It was a death trap, but it was better than getting caught. "Do it," he said. The ship dived into the asteroid field. Giant rocks tumbled all around them, some the size of mountains, others no bigger than a human. Elira maneuvered expertly, weaving between the debris. Behind them, the Seraphian fighters hesitated. They weren't as agile, and the pilots knew one wrong move would send them crashing into an asteroid. Liam's breath came in short gasps as the ship twisted and dodged, barely avoiding collisions. A sudden impact rocked the ship, a glancing blow from a smaller asteroid. Warning lights flashed, but they were still moving. "They're falling behind," Elira shouted. Liam glanced at the radar. She was right. The hunters were struggling to keep up. Then, suddenly, boom! One of the enemy ships miscalculated and slammed into an asteroid, exploding in a bright burst of fire and debris. The others swerved wildly, trying to escape the same fate. Alira's hands moved fast. "I'm shutting down our power. We need to disappear." Liam's heart pounded as she powered down the ship's systems, making them blend into the floating debris. The cockpit went dark. Outside, the remaining Seraphian fighters searched, their lights sweeping over the rocks. Liam held his breath. If they were found, they had no way to fight back. The seconds stretched into eternity. Then, slowly, the hunters pulled back, retreating toward the warship. Alira whispered, "It worked." Liam exhaled in relief. "But Thelon won't give up. He'll keep hunting us." Alira turned to him, her expression determined. "Then we find a way to stop him first." Hidden within the asteroid field, Liam and Alira sat in the dim glow of emergency lights. The stolen Seraphian ship hummed softly, its systems running on minimal power to avoid detection. Outside, jagged rocks floated in the endless dark, creating a labyrinth of shadows. Liam leaned against the cold metal wall, exhaustion etched into his face. "We can't keep running forever," he said, his voice low. Alira sat cross-legged on the floor, a holographic map projected between them. Her violet eyes shone with a fierce determination. "I know. If we don't take the fight to Thelon, he'll hunt us down eventually." Liam nodded. "But how? He commands an entire fleet. We have this." He gestured to their small, battered ship. Alira's lips curled into a sly smile. "We have more than you think." She tapped a few controls, and the map shifted to show a Seraphian outpost on a barren moon. "This is Thelon's communication hub. If we sabotage it, we can cut him off from his fleet." Liam's brows knitted. "And then we send a false signal," Alira explained. "We can trick his ships into leaving him vulnerable. If we isolate him, we have a chance." Liam sat up straighter. "A chance to do what?" "To end this," she said firmly. "To confront Thelon and force him to call off the hunt." Liam's mind raced. It was risky, almost suicidal, but it was better than waiting for death. "All right. What do we need to do?" Alira's fingers flew over the console, and the ship powered up. "We'll approach the outpost in stealth mode. I know the codes to get us through the perimeter. Once inside, we plant a virus in their system. It'll create chaos, and we slip away in the confusion." Liam stood, his energy returning. "Let's do it." The ship moved quietly through the asteroid field, weaving through the rocks until they reached the edge. Alira activated the cloaking system, and the ship vanished against the backdrop of space. Hours later, they approached the barren moon. The outpost loomed ahead, a metal fortress nestled in the gray dust. Seraphian drones patrolled the perimeter, their blue lights sweeping across the landing pads. Alira's fingers tightened around the controls. "Hold on." The ship dipped low, skimming the surface of the moon. Liam's knuckles turned white as they slid past a towering radar dish, missing it by inches. The drones didn't react. Their cloaking held. They landed softly behind a cluster of rocks. Liam and Alira suited up, slipping into dark, lightweight gear. Alira handed him a small device, a disruptor. "Press this against any control panel," she instructed. "It'll short out the systems for a few minutes." Liam nodded, tucking it into his belt. "Ready." They moved swiftly, darting from shadow to shadow. The outpost's walls were smooth and silver, marked with Seraphian symbols. Alira led the way to a maintenance hatch, entering a code into the keypad. The door hissed open. Inside, the corridors were dimly lit and eerily quiet. Their footsteps echoed as they crept through the narrow passages. Liam's heart pounded in his chest, each turn bringing the fear of discovery. Alira stopped at a door marked with a red symbol. "The control room is through here." She eased the door open, and they slipped inside. The room was filled with consoles and screens, all displaying streams of Seraphian data. Elira moved to the main terminal, her hands flying over the controls. Liam stood by the door, his disruptor ready. "How long?" "Just a minute," she whispered. The screens flickered as the virus uploaded. Alarms began to blare, red lights flashing. Liam tensed as footsteps echoed down the hall. "Got it." Elira pulled a data chip from the console. "Let's go." They ran, the halls now alive with Seraphian guards. Liam used the disruptor on a control panel, causing the lights to flicker and the doors to seal behind them. Blaster fire echoed through the corridors, but they reached the hatch and sprinted to their ship. The engines roared to life as they took off, leaving the moon and the chaos behind. As they broke through the atmosphere, Liam looked at Elira. "Did it work?" Elira smirked, holding up the data chip. "We just turned Thaylen's own system against him. Now, it's our turn to strike." For the first time, hope sparked in Liam's chest. The hunter had become the hunted. The small ship darted through the dark expanse of space, its engines burning with purpose. Liam sat in the pilot's seat, his hand steady on the controls. Elira stood behind him, her violet eyes fixed on the screen where Thaylen's massive flagship hung against the stars like a steel predator. The virus they had planted at the outpost had worked perfectly. Thaylen's fleet was scattered, chasing phantom signals across the galaxy. Now only his command ship remained, vulnerable and isolated. "This is our chance," Elira said, her voice a blend of determination and fear. "If we can get on board, we might be able to end this." Liam nodded. "We'll go in through the maintenance bay. It should be less guarded." The ship slipped through the perimeter, the flagship's sensors still blinded by the virus. Liam brought them in close, the docking clamps locking with a quiet hiss. They donned their suits, grabbed their weapons, and moved through the airlock into the cold, silent corridors of Thaylen's ship. The interior of the ship was a labyrinth of metal and light, with long hallways lined by darkened control panels. Their footsteps were soft, each step a heartbeat. Liam's pulse pounded in his ears, but he kept his focus, following Elira as she led the way through the twisting passages. They encountered guards, tall Seraphians with silver skin and sharp, angular features. Elira moved like a shadow, disabling them with quick strikes. Liam provided cover, his blaster set to stun, ensuring they left no trail of blood. Finally, they'd reached the main command center. The doors slid open, revealing a circular room filled with holographic displays. At the center stood Thaylen. He was clad in dark, flowing armor, his silver skin reflecting the crimson glow of the control panels. His cold blue eyes narrowed when he saw them. "Elira." Thaylen's voice was like ice. "I knew you would come." She stepped forward, her chin high. "It's over, Thaylen. Call off the hunt." Thaylen chuckled, a low, menacing sound. "You think you can threaten me? You and your human pet?" Liam tightened his grip on his weapon, but Elira motioned for him to stay back. "You've lost control of your fleet. Your ships are chasing ghosts. You have nothing left." Thaylen's expression shifted, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. You did this." Elira nodded. "We're not here to destroy you, Thaylen, just to end this madness. Your obsession with power has blinded you. Our people need peace." For a moment, silence filled the room. Then, Thaylen's face twisted with rage. He raised his arm, a blade of light extending from his gauntlet. "Traitor." He lunged at Elira, but Liam fired, the blast striking Thaylen's arm. The weapon shattered, sparks flying. Thaylen roared, his strength undiminished. He charged at Liam, knocking him to the ground. Elira moved swiftly, engaging Thaylen in a dance of strikes and counters. She was graceful and quick, but Thaylen's strength was immense. He grabbed her by the throat, lifting her off the ground. Liam struggled to his feet, his vision blurred. He saw Elira's face turning pale, her fingers clawing at Thaylen's grip. Without hesitation, he grabbed a nearby metal rod and slammed it against Thaylen's back. The warlord stumbled, releasing Elira. She dropped to the floor, gasping for air. Liam didn't stop. He struck again and again, until Thelon fell to his knees. Elira stood, her expression hardened. "It's over, Thelon. Surrender." Thelon's shoulders sagged, his arrogance drained away. He pressed a button on his wrist, and the alarm ceased. The ship's systems powered down, the red lights fading to a soft blue. In the quiet, Elira activated the ship's communication console. "To all Seraphian forces, this is Princess Elira. The war is over. Stand down." Liam helped her to her feet, his own body aching. "We did it," he whispered. Elira turned to him, her expression softening. "No, Liam. We did it together." As they stood among the ruins of Thelon's ambition, the weight of their journey settled on them. They had risked everything and had won, not just for themselves, but for the galaxy. The long night was finally over, and a new dawn awaited.